Eleanor Hayes moves quietly through the grand halls of the Montgomery estate, her presence unobtrusive yet essential. As a maid employed by Max Montgomery, the billionaire CEO of a thriving tech empire, she is well accustomed to the opulence that surrounds her daily life: gleaming floors, polished marble, and the constant hum of wealth at work. Yet, despite the lavishness of the estate, Eleanor's role keeps her in the background, a steady and silent observer of a household that is anything but serene. Max Montgomery is a man who seems to have conquered every challenge in business. His name is synonymous with innovation and success, his public image one of confidence and control. However, behind closed doors, Max faces a struggle that no amount of money or power can easily solve. Shortly after the birth of his triplets, his wife left, unable or unwilling to cope with the overwhelming demands of their new family. Since then, Max has been thrust into the role of a single father, juggling the relentless needs of 3 toddlers with his high-stakes career. The chaos that fills the Montgomery household is palpable. The triplets, energetic, mischievous, and ever-curious, turn the grand rooms into playgrounds. Toys are scattered across pristine floors, laughter mingles with shrieks of frustration, and the constant need for attention exhausts Max. His busy schedule leaves him little time or energy to manage the whirlwind at home. He's tried to hire babysitters, nannies, even family members, but none have proven capable of handling the unique challenges posed by 3 active toddlers demanding constant care. Eleanor, a widow and mother herself, understands the weight of responsibility that Max carries. Her own experiences as a single parent have given her empathy for his situation, though she keeps her distance, knowing that her role is to serve the household discreetly rather than become involved in its personal struggles. Her patience and quiet observance make her a reliable presence amid the household's disorder, yet she deliberately maintains boundaries, unwilling to step beyond the duties she was hired for. Despite her distance, Eleanor cannot help but notice the growing strain on Max. He moves through the estate with a weariness that no public success can mask, his interactions with the triplets often hurried and fraught with frustration. There are moments when he pauses, looking overwhelmed and uncertain, a man grappling with a reality far removed from the corporate boardrooms where he thrives. Max's attempts to find reliable childcare have been numerous but fruitless. Babysitters come and go, unable to manage the chaos or meet the relentless demands of the 3 children. Each failure adds to Max's mounting stress, making the upcoming business trip a looming source of anxiety. The prospect of leaving the triplets unattended or in the care of someone ill-prepared feels impossible. It is in this moment of desperation that Max turns to Eleanor, someone who has quietly observed the household from the sidelines but never been asked to intervene in such a personal way. His request is hesitant but earnest: would she be willing to look after the triplets for a few days during his business trip? The question hangs in the air, charged with uncertainty. Eleanor senses the weight of the request, the vulnerability beneath Max's usual confident facade. For Eleanor, this is a crossroads. Helping Max means stepping beyond her professional boundaries and into the intimate chaos of the family she has so far only witnessed from a distance. Though she is deeply empathetic, the idea of taking on such a responsibility, caring for 3 toddlers with all their energy and needs, is daunting. Yet, she also recognizes the trust implicit in Max's plea, a silent acknowledgement that in this moment, she is the person he believes can help hold the household together. The chapter closes on this fragile turning point. Eleanor's internal conflict is clear, a mix of compassion, hesitation, and a quiet resolve as she weighs the implications of saying yes. Max's relief at having finally found someone he can depend on is palpable, but so too is the underlying tension. The household remains a place of luxury and disorder, where beneath the surface of wealth and power lies the struggle of a family trying to survive the chaos of life. This opening chapter paints a vivid picture of the stark contrast between public success and private turmoil. Max's world is one of privilege, yet it offers no shield from the challenges of parenthood and loneliness. Eleanor's perspective provides a grounded, empathetic lens, highlighting the often unseen labor and emotional weight carried by those who support families behind the scenes. Themes of responsibility, boundaries, and the search for stability emerge naturally, setting the stage for the evolving dynamics between Max, Eleanor, and the triplets. The story begins with the tension of a life pulled between professional demands and the unpredictable realities of home, where help is needed but not easily found. As the chapter ends, both characters stand on the cusp of change: Max, forced to entrust his most precious charges to another, and Eleanor, contemplating a step into a role far beyond her usual duties. Eleanor's world shifted the moment Max handed her the request that felt like a mountain too steep to climb. She was taken aback. Shock rippled through her as she grappled with the weight of what was being asked. Caring for the triplets wasn't just an added task, it was an overwhelming responsibility that seemed far beyond her usual role. Her mind raced with doubts and concerns. Was she ready for this? Could she handle the chaos that surely awaited? But then she looked into Max's eyes, catching the raw desperation there, the silent plea for help, and despite her hesitation, she found herself agreeing. Reluctantly, but with a sense of duty, Eleanor stepped into a new reality. From the very beginning, the triplets made it clear that they were no ordinary children. Their energy was boundless, their demands relentless. Each child had a distinct personality, sharp and inquisitive, their curiosity often leading to mischief. Eleanor quickly realized that managing them was not about simple routines or quick fixes. It required patience, creativity, and a deep understanding of what made each child tick. Their tantrums tested her limits in ways she hadn't expected. Loud cries, defiant refusals, and constant interruptions filled her days, threatening to wear down her resolve. Max, meanwhile, prepared for his upcoming business trip, the weight of parental responsibility seemingly lifted from his shoulders. Accustomed to delegating the more challenging aspects of raising the triplets to nannies and babysitters, he left Eleanor alone in the eye of the storm. The house buzzed with the noise of 3 active children, and the quiet calm Eleanor once knew was replaced by a whirlwind of activity. Though overwhelmed at times, she refused to let frustration take hold. Instead, she adopted a methodical, calm approach to the chaos, determined to find a rhythm that could work. Eleanor's strategy was simple but effective: treat each child as an individual rather than a part of a chaotic trio. She began observing their behaviors, noting what excited them, what calmed them, and what triggered their outbursts. With this knowledge, she tailored her responses, sometimes offering quiet one-on-one moments, other times engaging all 3 in group activities designed to channel their energy constructively. Slowly but surely, the children started to respond. The tantrums didn't disappear overnight, but they became less frequent, and moments of genuine connection began to emerge. In those small victories, Eleanor found a surprising source of strength. The triplets, who had initially seemed like an insurmountable challenge, were gradually opening up to her. She discovered the unique quirks and charms of each child: the way one loved stories before bed, how another found joy in music and movement, and the quiet thoughtfulness hidden beneath the third's mischievous smile. These insights allowed Eleanor to nurture them in ways previous caregivers hadn't, creating bonds that felt authentic and deeply rewarding. As she navigated the day-to-day challenges, Eleanor couldn't help but reflect on her own journey as a mother. Her earlier doubts and fears echoed within her, but now they were tempered by newfound patience and resilience. She recognized parallels between her struggles and those of the triplets: the frustrations, the fears, the moments of doubt. This reflection helped her connect not just with the children, but also with herself, fostering a deeper empathy and understanding. Eleanor's growing bond with the triplets began to change the dynamics within the household. Where once she had felt like an outsider brought in to manage chaos, she was becoming an integral part of the children's lives. Max's absence left a void, but Eleanor's steady presence provided a sense of stability and care that the triplets responded to. The house, though still lively and noisy, felt warmer and more connected. The chapter closes with Eleanor quietly acknowledging this transformation. What started as a reluctant acceptance of responsibility had evolved into something meaningful and profound. Despite the challenges and exhaustion, she found herself embracing the role not just out of obligation but out of genuine affection and commitment. The unexpected connection she formed with the triplets was teaching her about patience, love, and the complexities of parenthood in a way she hadn't anticipated. Through the chaos and the tantrums, the noise and the demands, Eleanor discovered a new strength within herself, a calm resilience that allowed her to meet the challenge head-on. The reluctant decision that once filled her with hesitation had opened the door to growth and unexpected joy. In nurturing these three unique children, Eleanor was also nurturing a deeper part of herself, building a foundation for a new kind of family dynamic, one forged through understanding, care, and the quiet power of connection. Eleanor's days had become a whirlwind of noise, messes, and unpredictability. The triplets, full of restless energy and youthful impulsiveness, challenged her at every turn. Their boundless curiosity often led to chaos, walls smeared with paint, toys scattered across every room, and an endless cycle of defiance when asked to follow even the simplest of rules. At times, their reckless behavior alarmed Eleanor. She caught them climbing precariously on furniture or exploring places they shouldn't be, triggering waves of anxiety she hadn't anticipated. The house was no longer just a home, it was a tempest of youthful energy that Eleanor struggled to contain. Yet, amidst the chaos, she began to see patterns, little glimpses of the children's personalities shining through their unruly behavior. One of the triplets had a natural inclination toward art, spending hours with crayons and paper, crafting colorful worlds that spilled across the kitchen table. Another was a born storyteller, weaving imaginative tales that captivated anyone willing to listen. The third was fascinated by building, constantly assembling and disassembling blocks, puzzles, and anything that could be stacked or connected. Recognizing these unique interests, Eleanor shifted her approach. Instead of attempting to enforce order through strict rules alone, she embraced creativity and engagement. She introduced activities tailored to each child's passion, art supplies for the budding painter, storybooks and prompts for the storyteller, and construction sets for the builder. These activities became tools for channeling their energy productively, reducing tantrums and mischief in moments when they were absorbed in something they loved. This strategy did not eliminate the chaos, but it gave Eleanor moments of respite and connection. The house buzzed with vibrant noise and color, paint-splattered aprons, excited giggles during storytelling sessions, and the steady clatter of building blocks. These moments fostered a growing bond between Eleanor and the triplets, bridging the gap that once felt vast. She began to understand each child more deeply, sensing their fears, joys, and frustrations beneath their spirited behavior. However, the joy of these small victories was tempered by Eleanor's mounting exhaustion and isolation. Max, the father of the triplets, remained largely absent, consumed by his business and the pressures that came with it. His distance left Eleanor feeling alone in the overwhelming responsibility she had accepted. The house, once a place of potential warmth and laughter, sometimes felt like a cage where she was trapped by endless duties and little support. The emotional strain began to manifest in subtle ways. Eleanor noticed moments of weariness she couldn't shake, brief flashes of frustration, and a creeping sense of loneliness. Balancing the demands of caring for three energetic children while maintaining her role as the family's maid stretched her thin. The relentless pace left little room for rest or self-care, and the emotional weight grew heavier with each passing day. The tension in Eleanor's life escalated sharply with a phone call from Rebecca, Max's business partner. Rebecca's voice was clipped and laced with skepticism as she questioned Eleanor's ability to manage the household and care for the triplets effectively. She expressed concern that the family's public image and by extension, Max's business success was at risk if Eleanor failed in her role. The pressure to maintain appearances added a new dimension to Eleanor's struggle, highlighting how deeply intertwined the family's private life and public reputation had become. Rebecca's warning was a stark reminder that Eleanor's responsibilities extended beyond childcare and housekeeping. She was now a pivotal figure in a larger narrative tied to power, wealth, and influence. The stakes were no longer just about keeping three young children safe and happy, they were about preserving a family's legacy and a business empire. Eleanor felt the weight of this realization settle heavily on her chest. Faced with this mounting pressure, Eleanor knew she had to rise to the challenge. The chaotic days of simply surviving no longer sufficed. She needed to find new reserves of strength, creativity, and resilience to meet the expectations placed upon her. The stakes were higher than ever, and failure was not an option. Determined to prove herself capable, Eleanor redoubled her efforts. She sought ways to bring more structure without extinguishing the children's spirits, balancing discipline with empathy. She researched child development techniques, reached out to supportive contacts for advice, and experimented with routines that could provide stability amid the disorder. Every small success fueled her determination, even as the challenges continued to mount. The chapter reveals Eleanor's transformation from a caretaker overwhelmed by circumstance to a woman stepping into her own power amid adversity. The house, once a chaotic storm, slowly became a place where moments of calm and joy could take root. Her growing bond with the triplets offered a source of hope and motivation, even as the shadows of doubt and external pressures lingered. Through the whirlwind of noise, mess, and mounting expectations, Eleanor faced her most daunting test yet. With Max absent and the family's future hanging in the balance, she embraced the responsibility she had taken on with renewed resolve. The journey ahead was uncertain and demanding, but Eleanor's spirit was rising to meet it, ready to navigate the chaos and discover her own strength along the way. After a day filled with relentless noise and chaos, Eleanor sat down heavily on the edge of the couch, her shoulders slumped and her breath shallow. The triplets had tested every ounce of her patience, screaming, fighting, and refusing to listen despite her repeated efforts to calm them. The exhaustion weighed on her like a physical force, and for the first time, her calm exterior cracked. Earlier that afternoon, Eleanor had snapped at Noah, the youngest of the triplets. His constant mischief, usually met with gentle correction and understanding, had finally pushed her to raise her voice sharply. The words came out harsher than she intended, cutting through the usual warmth between them. Noah's face fell, his eyes wide with hurt and confusion, and in that moment, Eleanor felt a sharp pang of guilt. She had always prided herself on being patient and nurturing, but now she questioned if she was truly cut out for the overwhelming responsibility of caring for three spirited children at once. The house felt heavier after that moment, the silence between Eleanor and the triplets thick with tension. She tried to shake off the guilt, telling herself that everyone has bad days, but the doubt lingered. Was she doing enough? Was she the mother they needed? Max arrived home earlier than expected from his business trip, sensing something was off the moment he stepped inside. The usually lively household was quieter, the children subdued, and Eleanor's usual composed demeanor seemed strained. He immediately noticed the tiredness etched across her face, the tightness in her movements. "You look exhausted," Max said gently, setting down his bag. "How have you been managing?" Eleanor forced a small smile but couldn't hide the weariness in her eyes. "It's been tough," she admitted. "They're a handful, but I'm managing." Max shook his head, concern deepening. "I can see it's more than just managing. You're carrying so much on your own. You don't have to do this alone." Eleanor, embarrassed by the visible signs of her breakdown, tried to dismiss his concerns. "I'm fine, really. I don't want to burden you or bring anyone else into this." Max's expression softened but remained firm. "You're not a burden. You need a break, Eleanor. Let me help, maybe hire someone to assist for a while. You can't pour from an empty cup." But Eleanor hesitated, the idea of outside help unsettling her. She wanted to be the one who guided her children, not outsource the most important parts of their upbringing. Then, a realization dawned, a moment of clarity amid the chaos. The problem wasn't just the triplets' behavior, it was her approach. She had been focused on managing their actions, controlling outbursts, and maintaining order, but had neglected the emotional connections that were the foundation of their growth. They weren't just wild children to be tamed, they were individuals with feelings, fears, and needs that demanded understanding. Eleanor decided to change her strategy. Instead of reacting to the noise and disorder, she would engage with each child on a deeper level. She started setting aside quiet moments for one-on-one time with Noah, Olivia, and Liam, moments to listen, to connect, and to nurture their unique personalities. With Noah, she discovered a tender side beneath his mischievous antics. She learned to redirect his energy with playful yet focused activities that channeled his creativity. Olivia, often the most volatile of the three, responded to Eleanor's calm presence and patient listening, opening up about feelings she hadn't been able to express before. Liam, the quietest, blossomed when given gentle encouragement and reassurance. These individual moments became a daily practice, shifting the atmosphere in the house from constant tension to gradual harmony. Eleanor's tone softened, her patience deepened, and the children began to respond not just out of obedience, but from a genuine desire to connect. The breakthrough was not immediate or perfect, but it was powerful. The triplets' outbursts lessened, replaced by more thoughtful expressions of their needs. Eleanor felt renewed not just as a caretaker but as a mother who could meet the emotional complexities of her children. Max noticed the transformation as well. The household buzzed with a different energy, one that balanced liveliness with warmth and understanding. He supported Eleanor's new approach, helping where he could, but respecting her determination to lead. This turning point reshaped the family dynamic. The walls that had seemed to confine their interactions fell away, making room for trust and openness. Eleanor no longer felt overwhelmed by the chaos, because she was no longer trying to control it. Instead, she was embracing it with empathy, love, and connection. Through this journey, Eleanor learned that parenting wasn't about perfection or control, but about presence and patience. The breakdown she had feared became a breakthrough that not only changed how she related to her children but also how she saw herself. She was stronger than she knew, and with this new understanding, the family moved forward together, resilient and hopeful. Eleanor's fresh approach to caring for the triplets quickly yields remarkable results. Unlike previous babysitters who struggled to connect with the children, Eleanor manages to break through their defenses and foster genuine bonds. The triplets, who had long been resistant and distant, begin to respond to her with openness and warmth. They start following her instructions more readily and even show signs of affection, an unexpected but welcome development that surprises both Eleanor and Max. This newfound connection marks a turning point in the household, where chaos had often reigned, and a more harmonious atmosphere begins to take shape. Eleanor's growing confidence in her caregiving abilities stems from this progress, as she discovers a rhythm that suits both her and the children. The transformation within the family dynamic does not go unnoticed by Max. Initially, he had seen Eleanor primarily in her role as a maid and employee, fulfilling a necessary task in the background of his busy life. But witnessing Eleanor's skillful handling of the triplets and her emotional intelligence shifts his perception. He grows to admire not only her competence but also her resilience in managing such a demanding role with patience and care. Eleanor's ability to nurture the children while navigating the complexities of their personalities earns Max's respect, and gradually, he begins to rely on her more. This reliance extends beyond household duties. Eleanor becomes a trusted partner in the daily management of family life, and their professional relationship deepens into a more meaningful, collaborative bond. However, this progress is soon complicated by the reappearance of Max's ex-wife, Veronica. Unhappy with the changes she observes, Veronica becomes increasingly vocal in her disapproval of Eleanor's growing presence in the children's lives. She insinuates that Eleanor is overstepping her boundaries, challenging the legitimacy of Eleanor's role within the family. Veronica's return introduces a new source of tension and conflict, disrupting the delicate balance Eleanor has worked so hard to establish. This challenge forces Eleanor to confront the precarious nature of her position. While she has gained the children's trust and Max's respect, her place is still vulnerable to external forces. The escalating conflict between Veronica and Eleanor brings additional stress and uncertainty. Veronica's attempts to undermine Eleanor create an environment rife with emotional strain, where Eleanor must defend her role not only to Max but to others who question her involvement. This struggle tests Eleanor's resolve, compelling her to stand firm and assert her rightful place in the children's lives. At the same time, it heightens Eleanor's awareness of the boundaries she must navigate carefully between caregiver and outsider, between employee and family member. The push and pull dynamic challenges her to maintain her dignity while advocating for the connection she has built with the triplets. Eleanor finds herself caught in an emotional tug-of-war. On one hand, her deepening attachment to the triplets fills her with a sense of purpose and belonging she had not anticipated. The children's trust and affection provide a rewarding counterbalance to the chaos and demands of her work. On the other hand, the pressure from Veronica and the uncertainty surrounding her future in the family weigh heavily on her. Eleanor is torn between embracing the meaningful relationships she is forging and guarding her own sense of self-worth and professional boundaries. This internal conflict underscores the complexities of caregiving in a blended family dynamic, where roles and relationships are fluid and often contested. The chapter illustrates how Eleanor's journey is one of growth and negotiation. She evolves from a background figure into an indispensable part of the children's lives, earning respect through empathy, patience, and dedication. At the same time, the narrative acknowledges the fragile nature of this new status, highlighting how external challenges can threaten even the strongest bonds. Eleanor's experience serves as a testament to the resilience required to claim space and respect in environments where roles are ambiguous and constantly shifting. Max's changing perception of Eleanor symbolizes a broader transformation within the household. His increasing reliance on her signals a shift toward recognizing her as more than just staff, a recognition of her as a key player in the family's emotional and practical functioning. Their evolving relationship reflects mutual respect built on trust and shared commitment, moving beyond traditional employer-employee dynamics. This shift also sets the stage for future collaboration and support, suggesting that Eleanor's impact on the family will continue to deepen. Veronica's return adds a layer of complexity to the narrative, introducing conflict that tests the stability Eleanor has worked hard to create. Her challenges highlight the tensions often present in blended families and the difficulties faced by those who step into caregiving roles without traditional familial ties. The friction between Veronica and Eleanor brings to the forefront issues of authority, belonging, and the negotiation of boundaries. It forces Eleanor to advocate for herself and the children, emphasizing the importance of standing firm in one's convictions while balancing sensitivity to others' concerns. Throughout the chapter, Eleanor's emotional landscape is richly portrayed. Her moments of triumph are interwoven with doubt and vulnerability, painting a nuanced picture of a woman navigating uncharted territory. The tension between attachment and professionalism, affection and self-preservation, creates a dynamic internal dialogue that drives her growth. This complexity makes Eleanor a relatable and compelling character, whose struggles and victories resonate deeply. The chapter closes on a note of unresolved tension but also quiet strength. Eleanor stands at a crossroads, aware of the challenges ahead but buoyed by the meaningful connections she has established. Her commitment to the children and her determination to maintain her dignity set the foundation for the battles to come. This ending captures the bittersweet nature of progress, how newfound respect and acceptance often come with new challenges and responsibilities. In sum, this chapter explores themes of trust, resilience, and the negotiation of identity within a complex family structure. Eleanor's journey highlights the transformative power of empathy and dedication, as well as the courage required to claim one's rightful place amid competing interests. Through Eleanor's experiences, the narrative sheds light on the delicate balance between caregiving and self-assertion, offering a rich and thoughtful examination of what it means to earn respect and belonging. Veronica's efforts to destabilize Eleanor's role in the household become more overt and relentless, sparking an atmosphere thick with tension. She openly challenges Eleanor's influence over the children, accusing her of overstepping boundaries and meddling too much in their upbringing. These criticisms are not whispered behind closed doors but voiced boldly, rippling through the family and staff alike. The accusations plant seeds of doubt and suspicion, fostering a growing divide within the household. Eleanor, who has devoted herself wholeheartedly to the family, begins to feel the sharp sting of alienation. The place she once considered a second home now feels increasingly hostile and unwelcoming. Veronica's words echo in her mind, making her question her role and the value of her contributions. The support she once felt from the family seems to be eroding, replaced by cold glances and whispered judgments. This shift leaves Eleanor feeling isolated, as if she is becoming an outsider in a world she helped nurture. Compounding Eleanor's distress is the noticeable regression in the triplets' behavior. The children, once thriving under Eleanor's care, begin to act out in ways that suggest they are struggling emotionally. Their sudden change unsettles everyone and points to the underlying stress that Veronica's return and the household's escalating tensions have introduced. Eleanor feels a profound sense of failure, questioning whether her presence is actually helping or inadvertently contributing to the children's distress. This emotional upheaval causes Eleanor to reflect deeply on her place within the family dynamic. She wrestles with doubt and insecurity, wondering if her efforts have been in vain and whether she is truly making a difference. The emotional weight of feeling unappreciated and undermined weighs heavily, casting a shadow over her sense of purpose and belonging. Her internal struggle becomes a silent battle, fought behind a composed exterior that masks her growing vulnerability. Meanwhile, Max finds himself caught in the middle of the escalating conflict, torn between his ex-wife Veronica and Eleanor. His desire to support both women places him in an emotionally exhausting position. Max's struggle to mediate and maintain peace only serves to highlight the complex web of relationships and loyalties that bind the household together. he grapples with the impossible task of satisfying opposing demands, leaving him emotionally torn and unsure of the best path forward. Max's internal conflict adds another layer to the household's instability. His attempts to appease both sides underscore the challenges of balancing competing interests within a fractured family. His emotional fatigue reflects the strain that prolonged tension exerts on even the most well-intentioned individuals. Max's predicament mirrors the larger issues at play, illustrating how personal conflicts can reverberate through family structures and relationships. The chapter centers on Eleanor's experience of isolation and self-doubt as she navigates the growing hostility around her. Veronica's disapproval is a persistent shadow, undermining Eleanor's confidence and sense of worth. The once clear boundaries of her role blur under the weight of criticism and suspicion, leaving her uncertain about her future in the household. This emotional turmoil forces Eleanor to confront difficult questions about belonging, purpose, and the sacrifices she has made. Eleanor's internal conflict is portrayed with nuance, capturing the quiet pain of feeling marginalized in a place where she has invested so much of herself. The chapter delves into the psychological impact of being undermined and excluded, illustrating how social rejection can erode self-esteem and foster a sense of invisibility. Eleanor's reflections reveal the deep human need for recognition and support, especially within intimate and familial contexts. The tension that Veronica ignites also exposes the fragility of family dynamics. The undercurrent of suspicion and rivalry threatens to unravel the connections that hold the household together. The chapter illustrates how unresolved conflicts and unspoken resentments can fester, creating an environment where trust erodes and emotional wounds deepen. Veronica's actions serve as a catalyst, bringing to the surface issues that have long been simmering beneath the surface. As the triplets' behavioral changes become more apparent, the emotional stakes rise. Their regression is a tangible sign of the household's instability, affecting not just the adults but the children as well. Eleanor's concern for their well-being adds urgency to her internal struggle, intensifying her desire to restore harmony and security. The children's distress highlights the interconnectedness of family members' emotional states and the impact of adult conflicts on the youngest members. Toward the end of the chapter, the possibility of Eleanor leaving the household looms. Max contemplates solutions that might appease both Veronica and Eleanor, weighing the costs and consequences of such decisions. This looming choice adds a layer of uncertainty and poignancy, as Eleanor faces the real threat of displacement after all she has given. The prospect of leaving forces her to consider what she truly values and what she is willing to sacrifice. In sum, the chapter explores the rising tensions within the household through the lens of Eleanor's internal struggle and the shifting dynamics among family members. It captures the emotional complexity of feeling isolated and unsupported while navigating fractured relationships and conflicting loyalties. The narrative highlights the delicate balance of power, trust, and belonging, emphasizing how quickly those can be disrupted by jealousy, fear, and unresolved grievances. Eleanor's journey reflects the universal human challenge of finding one's place amid discord and the courage required to face an uncertain future. The tension between Eleanor and Veronica escalates to its breaking point, culminating in a confrontation charged with years of unspoken grievances and unresolved emotions. Veronica, feeling cornered and desperate, launches a final attempt to reclaim control over the triplets' lives. She challenges Eleanor's authority with sharp accusations, questioning her background and qualifications to care for the children. Veronica's argument hinges on the notion that despite Eleanor's contributions, she is fundamentally an outsider, someone who can never truly replace the biological mother or take on the role of a maternal figure. This challenge is not only an attack on Eleanor's capabilities but also an attempt to manipulate Max and the family's perception, sowing seeds of doubt about Eleanor's place in their lives. Veronica's strategy is designed to destabilize the fragile new family dynamic that has formed. She appeals to Max's sense of obligation as the children's father, trying to persuade him to side with her and restore her authority. Her words are laced with emotional manipulation, playing on familial bonds and past memories, hoping to undermine Eleanor's growing influence. This moment exposes the raw vulnerabilities in the family, highlighting the struggle between tradition and change, biology and nurture. However, Max's response is both surprising and resolute. Over time, he has come to deeply appreciate Eleanor's unwavering dedication and the positive impact she has had on the triplets. Instead of yielding to Veronica's provocations, Max stands firmly beside Eleanor. His support is a pivotal moment not just for Eleanor but for the entire family structure. Max openly acknowledges that the children flourish under Eleanor's care, emphasizing that she has provided them with more love, consistency, and stability than they have ever experienced before. His words dismantle Veronica's attempts to question Eleanor's legitimacy and send a clear message that the traditional notions of family must evolve to reflect emotional truth rather than biological ties alone. Max's declaration marks a turning point, redefining the family dynamic and shifting the balance of power. He states unequivocally that Veronica no longer has a place in their lives not because of her status as the biological mother, but because she has failed to provide the emotional nurturing the children require. This reversal of roles challenges conventional ideas about motherhood and authority, highlighting the importance of care, presence, and commitment over mere genetics. Eleanor's quiet strength and consistent nurturing approach have made her the true center of the triplets' world, and Max's support validates that truth. The triplets themselves, who have witnessed the growing tension and conflict, step forward with heartfelt declarations of their own. Their voices break through the charged atmosphere as they express their love and gratitude for Eleanor. They speak candidly about the difference she has made in their lives, how she has been there for them, supported them, and helped them grow. Their genuine affection and loyalty provide undeniable proof of Eleanor's vital role. The children's support serves to further solidify Eleanor's place in the family, making it clear that her connection to them is authentic and profound. Veronica's reaction to this overwhelming alliance is one of humiliation and defeat. Stripped of her influence and faced with the united front of Max, Eleanor, and the triplets, she realizes that her efforts to reclaim authority have failed. With no viable option left, she chooses to leave, marking an end to her presence in their daily lives. Her departure, while painful, clears the way for healing and growth within the family. The removal of this source of conflict allows the remaining family members to begin rebuilding their relationships on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. Following Veronica's exit, the family dynamic undergoes a significant transformation. Max reflects on what truly defines success: not his wealth, power, or social standing, but the quality of the emotional bonds he nurtures with his children and the people who genuinely care for them. This realization is profound, as it challenges his previous priorities and reshapes his understanding of what it means to be a father and a partner within a family unit. Eleanor's influence is evident not only in the triplets' improved behavior but also in Max's evolving perspective. She has shown him that family is more than just genetics or societal expectations, it is about the care, support, and unconditional love shared between its members. Eleanor's transformation from a helper to a cornerstone of the family illustrates the power of resilience, dedication, and authenticity. As the chapter draws to a close, the family comes together in a moment of unity and hope. The triplets, Max and Eleanor, begin to forge a new path forward, one defined by understanding, acceptance, and a shared commitment to nurturing their relationships. This new family dynamic reflects growth and healing, signaling the start of a fresh chapter marked by emotional connection and genuine belonging. The resolution of the conflict brings a sense of closure to the chapter's intense emotions while opening the door to future possibilities. It highlights the importance of standing firm in one's truth and the transformative power of love and acceptance in creating a family that thrives. Through courage, honesty, and unwavering support, Eleanor and Max have redefined what family means, offering the triplets the stability and care they deserve. The atmosphere within the Montgomery household had shifted profoundly since Veronica's departure. Where tension and distance had once defined their interactions, a new space had been created, one ripe for healing and genuine connection. The family was slowly but surely learning to embrace this fresh reality, moving forward not as fractured individuals but as a united whole. At the center of this transformation was Eleanor, whose role had evolved far beyond that of a mere caretaker. No longer seen as just the maid, Eleanor had become an indispensable and cherished member of the Montgomery family. Max, in particular, had undergone a subtle but meaningful change in perspective. Where once he might have viewed Eleanor solely through the lens of her professional role, he now saw her as a nurturing presence whose influence extended far deeper. His interactions with Eleanor were marked by a growing authenticity, conversations that carried warmth and mutual respect rather than formality or obligation. Though they carefully maintained the boundaries appropriate to their positions, an unspoken affection had blossomed between them, a bond grounded in shared commitment to the well-being of the triplets and the family's newfound harmony. Eleanor herself was surprised by the sense of belonging she now felt. The Montgomery home, once a place where she felt invisible or undervalued, had transformed into a space where she was appreciated, listened to, and truly seen. This acceptance fostered a confidence within her, a rediscovery of self that she hadn't anticipated when she first stepped into the household. Her contributions were no longer confined to chores or routines, they were vital threads woven into the fabric of the family's renewed life. Under Eleanor's tender care, the triplets began to flourish in remarkable ways. Each child's unique personality blossomed with newfound vibrancy, their once scattered attention becoming more focused, their affection more openly expressed, and their cooperation noticeably enhanced. It was as though Eleanor's presence provided the stability and love they had quietly yearned for, allowing them to grow into themselves with assurance and joy. Max, observing these changes with a mix of astonishment and gratitude, recognized the profound impact Eleanor had made on his children's lives. In a gesture of appreciation, Max offered Eleanor a significant financial gift, an acknowledgement not just of her hard work but of the transformative role she had played. More importantly, he extended an invitation for her to pursue her own dreams, an opportunity she had long set aside to care for others. Max's offer was both generous and sincere, reflecting his desire to repay Eleanor's dedication in a way that honored her individuality and aspirations. Eleanor's response, however, was one that surprised even Max. She declined the monetary gift, choosing instead to invest in the children's futures and deepen her connection with the family. This choice revealed the core of Eleanor's values. Her fulfillment came not from financial gain or status, but from the relationships she had nurtured and the positive difference she could continue to make. It was a testament to her selflessness and the profound love she had developed for the Montgomery family. As Eleanor reflected on her journey, she realized how much she had grown through the experience. She had entered the Montgomery household unsure of her place and uncertain of her impact, but through patience, compassion, and steadfastness, she had become a catalyst for change. The transformation she helped bring about was not measured by material wealth or societal standing, but by the intangible power of love and connection. Her story was a reminder that true strength often lies in the quiet, everyday acts of care and dedication. The final scenes paint a picture of harmony and belonging, Eleanor surrounded by the triplets, who now call her mom without hesitation or doubt, their voices filled with genuine affection. Max stands nearby, a proud and supportive figure who recognizes the family they have all become together. The bonds forged between them transcend traditional definitions of family, rooted instead in choice, trust, and unconditional love. This chapter closes on a note of profound thematic significance, that love and family are not dictated by bloodlines or wealth, but by the bonds we consciously choose to build and nurture. Eleanor's journey with the Montgomery family exemplifies how connection, respect, and care can heal wounds and create a new foundation for happiness. The future they face is one of hope and unity, a testament to the enduring power of love to transform lives and redefine what it truly means to belong.